Before we got married, my wife and I met a couple of times with a counselor for what they used to call pre-marital counseling. It wasn't like a test to see if you should get married or anything. It was more of a time to speak with someone about things or situations that we should be thinking about going into marriage. Things like, are you going to have children? If so, when? Who's going to work? Who's going to stay home? Who does the dishes? Where do you go for Thanksgiving dinner? All great questions. And if you're thinking of getting married and haven't discussed some of these things yet, you should. I forgot a lot of things our counselor Brad told us. But one thing I will always remember was when he stressed never, ever say the D word when you guys are arguing. The D word, of course, is divorce. And the really sad and scary thing was that within the first 12 months of our marriage, that darn D word came up. It was the biggest argument my wife and I had ever had in our relationship. But strangely enough, or not, I can't even remember what it was about. I remember, though, sitting on the floor in our tiny, cramped kitchen with light from a single bulb lamp splayed out across the walls. So what are you trying to say? My wife asked me. What are you trying to say? I asked back. You just say what you're trying to say. Well, I'm not going to say, you say. And to this day, I'm not really sure who said it first, but the D word came out. Are you saying you want a divorce? It was a tough time in our young marriage. Not only was our marriage young, we were young. I was like 23 years old. My wife was 20. We didn't even know how to argue yet. Our communication skills were immature, obviously. The idea of self-control was a foreign concept. Here's the thing. Here's why Brad told us to never use the D word when we're fighting. It's because once the word is out, you can't bring it back in. Even if you resolve everything that you're arguing about that day, the D word somehow still lingers in your mind the next. Once you open the door to the D word, it becomes hard to close again. Every time you get into an argument, that word is right there at the surface of your mind. You start second guessing and wondering, well, is that what he's thinking? Or is that what she wants? The devil wants nothing more than to separate and tear marriages apart. Jesus said, though, for this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one. He continued, therefore, what God has joined together, let man not separate. One of the most important marriage success factors is learning how to communicate in an argument. I'll share a couple of ideas on that in a later message. Until then, love one another. God bless.